That's really fun. We'll go beyond it.
So Dr. Fazali, so some of the mapping algorithms, and where we teach the robots, maybe using some swarm technology, or some of the foraging type algorithms, those things where we're trying to get to insect intelligence. Because at some point in the AI community says, we will never be able to imitate human intelligence. So maybe we'll do good if we can imitate insect intelligence. So in the lower levels of, we're talking about insects, we're talking about a herd of cattle or something. Do we really want to use a different name or a different terminology? Do we still want to say intelligence when we're talking about things other than human beings?
So I think you want to differentiate between the animals and humans, and because we can't really model humans, we want to go with humans. But I think what we really model in humans are the behaviors of the animals, or swarm, or whatever. But the thought process of animals or humans it's a complicated thing, and that cognitive process for humans and animals is kind of unknown to us. So what we are copying from the nature is kind of the behavior of these animals or humans. It's not really how they are thinking about the problem.
So you introduced maybe another part that might help us to understand. Maybe intelligence is not, it's more tied to nature, and there's kind of a natural, intelligence might be a property of nature. Higher levels of, like you said, Nick, higher levels, lower levels. Stu, I might just ask you, you hear the term, we threw it around, what might you?
Well, I would like to hope it's using technology to enhance the human experience. And that's where it gets a little bit questionable as people have different values.
Fair enough. And everyone's marketing a lot of different things, so part of the goal here today is to try to see if we can come away with something, in the way of a definition of Paul.
When I think of AI, I think of the complexity of a system like a city. We've had about 4 years where we've digitized all the traffic signals in Columbus. We're on a fifth phase now, so we've put probably $70 million into building intelligence into each one of our intersections, tied to our fiber backbone. So, so I think of AI from the complexity of a city, and now we've got intelligent intersections, right? So with sensor technology, with LED lights, with a multitude of different types of sensors at that intersection, we can tell whether it's a pedestrian, a bicycle, or an automated car. So this VI, vehicle to infrastructure. The DOT's been doing, U.S. DOT's been doing so much research. So AI to me is beyond big data or beyond a chief data officer in the city. It is complex systems. So I think of enterprise architecture, where AI beyond developing, helping, or complementing humans' strategy for what is an intelligent community. What differentiates Columbus from an Amsterdam or a Singapore? So for me, it's a systems question.
Right, so we're looking at a matter of complex systems and complex structures and processing signals and processing information within a complex system. So for the panelists, isn't that just what computer science does? Just why even use artificial intelligence at all? Why not just talk about systems theory? And we've had systems theory been around for a long time. The general systems theory has been here forever. My good friend with Norbert Weiner in cybernetics, and those guys have been talking about systems theory for feedback control for a long time. So why, if it's just complex systems, and we might want to put AI in that category for sure, why even call it artificial intelligence? Why not just say, this is basic computer technology? Why use the phrase AI if we're just really talking about optimizing complicated, not complicated, but complex systems? Anybody on the panel?
Well, I'd take that one on. I think that that's actually a subset of AI, really, that you're talking about. So I think that's kind of like the expert systems piece of AI. And I think why we want to go beyond that is because, especially in some of the expert systems and some of the knowledge-based systems, we're never going to be able to put all of the knowledge of the universe into a computer without somehow managing to learn how to create whole new worlds. So since we're not trying to go down that path, we need to have computer systems that are able to solve unknown problems, and they need to solve them in basically less time than it takes to calculate some of the very difficult problems that we face. So because we're trying to solve these heretofore unknown problems, or problems that computers have never seen before, that's where we go beyond some of the more simple decision trees, for instance, or some of the more simple expert systems. We need to solve things that are well beyond anything that these machines have interacted with before.
Right. Here's something that is becoming almost synonymous these days with artificial intelligence, the term artificial intelligence. Can you hear me, Dr. Koenig?
Yeah.
The notion of data mining and predictive analytics, those terms in some circles are becoming synonymous with artificial intelligence. And if you're not talking about data mining or predictive analytics or big data in some kind of way or data science, you really aren't talking artificial intelligence. So is it the case that predictive analytics, data mining, and data science has kidnapped or co-opted the phrase artificial intelligence? Because that seems to be, or machine learning, what most people today mean when they say artificial intelligence.
So maybe I can start with this one. So the way I view it is that artificial intelligence differentiates itself from other disciplines by really being knowledge-based, right? That was just mentioned. And so we need to worry about how do we acquire knowledge, how do we represent knowledge, how do we reason with knowledge, and that also means, how do we plan to achieve our objectives. And in many ways, if you look at AI, that's what it's all about. If we look at the subfields, right, we distinguish between search and planning, knowledge representation, reasoning, and machine learning. So machine learning clearly is part of it, but only part of it, right? Because we also need to think about what do we do with all of the knowledge once we have it. And so in a way, right, I mean, knowledge acquisition is a problem, and we can go about it in two different ways. We can ask people, right, we can input the knowledge into computers, or we can acquire it automatically. And the problem with inputting knowledge into the computer is that humans are not very good at it. So if you think about, for example, riding a bicycle, right, I mean, we can all ride a bicycle, but if you need to program a computer, how to ride a bicycle, you can give some general guidelines, like you fall to the left, lean more to the right, but the devil is in the detail. And so people just can't do it. And because of this, we need sort of automated ways of acquiring data and skills that go along with them. And that's exactly what machine learning is there for. So I think it's a very important part of artificial intelligence, but it's not all of it.
Okay, great. So, I want to point this one at you, Paul. So, Dr. Koenig just wanted to add to the discussion that in order for it to be artificial intelligence, you want to have a knowledge component. There has to be, there's a knowledge acquisition, there's knowledge representation, there's knowledge retrieval. You have to have that going on. So if we take and combine knowledge indexing and knowledge management with complex systems, do we start to get to this thing, this notion of smart cities? Is that what that's all about? Taking those complex systems and then somehow applying the knowledge behind data mining and the knowledge behind our, predictive analytics. Is that what the smart cities thing is all about?
I like how you've combined all that, because when you start talking about the data that really matters, so the most difficult data that's most useful for intelligent community is the data that you get within the neighborhoods at the bottom up level. the data that you've got to actually put people, college students, interns in those neighborhoods to gather the data that makes a difference in human life. So an intelligent community, artificial intelligence, one of the reasons why I was excited about being part of this panel was I hadn't really thought much about it, artificial intelligence. I was in the data field, the big data field, and the more I kind of read up on AI, I thought, you know what? This is exactly what's needed for intelligent communities to become more intelligent. But the data part, one of the most difficult parts is gathering the right data that makes sense, and that's why I'm such a big proponent of the makerspaces, the Youngstown and the Columbus Idea Foundry, where we're building that knowledge index from the bottom up at the neighborhood level with makerspaces that are actually in the community gathering the right information that makes that difference in human life.
So is it possible that the machine learning and the predictive analytics that's applied to the data that cities is connecting, that the artificial intelligence is the thing that's making that meaningful? Because we've been collecting data in cities a long time. It's not like this is data is something new. It's been manual. It's doing on paper, but it's been a lot of data collected. And prior to artificial intelligence, we had computers involved. There was a lot of data collected. Okay, we had the government collecting all kinds of stuff in the mainframes and this kind of thing. So, what makes it today? Why are we using terms like intelligent city in 2016 with the same kind of data that we had maybe 25, 30 years ago? Is it the data mining? Is it predictive analytics?
From my perspective, it's a combination of a lot of factors, right? Moore's law, you get miniaturization from electronics, and you've been able to, once you're on that exponential curve, every 18 months, we're living in a whole new world. So we're almost at this tipping point where, with the economic downturn in 2008 and 2009, throughout the last maybe 300 years, we've been through about 5 technology eras where we might be entering this fifth era where the AI is actually, the machine learning is entering that fifth era of technology where it was not possible even 5 years ago. So we're in a really unique period where it's really exciting. I mean, obviously I'm pointing the positive perspective because there's a lot of potential downsides too, but at this point I remain actually quite optimistic about, you may be asking about jobs down the road and whether jobs are going to be displaced by a longer term. Well, what are we going to do with our free time? If the mid-management skill set around knowledge, if those jobs are replaced, then what? I mean,
right. And that kind of leads me to Nicholas. We were talking about making software better. Okay, so you want to make it smart. Your business is making it smarter. Do you have any thoughts for us in terms of these smart cities, these smart urban areas? We have now collecting data on citizens in all kinds of ways. They're going to be censored up pretty soon. We got the cell phone thing going on. We have e-government going on. There's going to be a lot of software driving that. There's a lot of data driving that. What part is the smart software going to play in that whole dynamic?
Well, I think the smart software is going to let us synthesize all that data, right? It's so much data that it's very difficult for humans to look through it, to process it. It's difficult to get consistent responses. Human beings, we do a lot of things really well, but consistency typically isn't one of them, which is a whole other problem in AI as well. But certainly, I have a degree in math and computer science, and the math side of me says I want logic, I want consistency on big data. So as we gather all that data, the most important thing for the software to make it smart software is being able to actually synthesize all that data that would take us years and years and years to go through. We can now gather data as fast as we can record it, and we can have some hope that computers will actually be able to process that data and come to.
Okay, but the component to what you're saying is, with collecting all of this data, there's really more there than we can feasibly process, without data computers. So now we got data mining and predictive analytics that's allowing us to process all of this data, and we're going to use this data mining and computer analytics as it intersects with our cities. Let me ask this question then. If we have on one hand the machines, the factories and the mechanical devices kind of picking up the pace or picking up the slack where we can't do it physically, and now we have software that is going to, in effect, be decision-making proxies for us, right? Because the data is too much. We can't handle it, right? And it's so starting to take some of our mental capability. What's going to be left for people to do, right? We got some robot programmers here, right? I do robots. This guy does robots, and then we're trying to replace the labor, right? Now this guy's going to write software, and the software is going to replace, or at least enhance or supplement, our mental capability. So once you got the physical aspect kind of taken care of by machines, and the mental, or some of the mental aspects being taken care of, what's left for human beings to do in a growing artificial intelligence?
Well, yeah, I would. I call this the Star Trek utopia. Okay, I didn't coin that phrase. I don't know who did. So credit to whoever actually said that first. But I call it the Star Trek utopia because certainly in that fictional world, computers were doing an awful lot of work, and there was a very different environment and different levels of interactions with people. I think that artificial intelligence can lead us to sort of the next evolution in human thinking. At each step of
but the computer's going to be doing the thinking. Because we can't think about it because it's too much data.
I think it's going to free us up for new avenues of thought.
What avenues of thought?
What's left?
We can play a lot more golf.
What's left? We got all this massive data. We're massively connected, right? It's more than we can absorb. It's more than we can process or synthesize. We're going to use the predictive analytics and the machine learning to learn the rules and the decisions and to make what's left for us to think.
I think we have a pretty good track record as a people of making it through the technological revelations that we've had in the past. I mean, it wasn't too long ago when 90% of the population was involved in agriculture, and now that's about 10%, and we still have a bunch of food. I think we'll do fine at the end of this, but there will be significant impact, and maybe we're just more aware of that now.
But people shifted from agriculture to an information technology, kind of, right? And now we're in a situation where information technology can be handled by computers and robots. So where are people going to shift to next?
We don't know. But I think we'll figure it out. Back to your earlier question with artificial intelligence, what's the difference between systems and artificial intelligence? I think and as Sven said, I think Mark said it, it's how that data is. It's all data, right? It's all hardware, algorithms, and data. And if that data is inputted autonomously and learned autonomously, then, and especially if that intelligence then has the capabilities of acting upon that data without oversight, it could get fairly complicated, and that could be a potential concern. So when the data can recognize, so we've got a smart intersection that thinks it recognizes a pedestrian, when it's actually something else and chooses to act upon that, those are some of the risks that we hear about. But then again, you've got to look at what's it compared to. You look at what telehealth could do. When you look at all the malpractice and deaths that are caused by doctors, and nothing against doctors, don't get me wrong, they're the best we got. But the same way with cars, autonomous cars, we're going to hear about that one Google car that wrecked, and that's the biggest deal, and it was $300 scratch. When today probably 300 people will die because of operator error. So I think we got to be careful about pointing out some of the shortfalls in the long term.
Well, I don't know, Dr. Bopak, we've got mechanical things taking our physical labor. We have smarter software, more efficient software, optimization, minimization, maximization going on, and the software being a decision proxy, making the decisions on our behalf because we can't make them because there's just too much data. What's left for the human mind?
So maybe I can jump in here as well.
Yes, please do.
So we started out talking about smart cities. And I think smart cities are not all about automation, but also about bringing in the human more into the decision-making process, making it easier for humans to provide input, ideas, and feedback, and making them more informed. And we can do this precisely because a human can't look at all of the data, but they can look at aggregates of all of these data. So then the question is, right, how do we aggregate the data so that it is helpful for humans, to look at, make sense of it, and help in the decision-making process. So the way I see it is not that we lose all of the jobs and people will be unemployed, that we have a very leisurely society of people who don't know any longer what to do. In general, I think we have seen in the past always sort of a negative relationship between productivity and unemployment rates. And as was mentioned before, right, we have seen an industrial revolution, and AI to some degree is an automation technology, especially in my area, right, where I mentioned that lots of the workers that worked in these fulfillment centers now have been replaced by robots. But don't forget that these are very, very laborious, arduous, monotone type jobs. So there's certainly lots of jobs left to do, both tech jobs. So that means that we really need to pay attention to educating people appropriately. Education will become much more important in the future than it is now, and it is already very important. But there are also other jobs, right? More on the creative side, certainly service jobs, right? Because typically what happens, I think, is if you have some higher productivity, means costs go down, that means prices go down, salaries go up, people buy more products and services, and we need to somehow cater to this so people will go more in these particular areas. But before we go bonkers about some AI taking all of the jobs, I just want to point out that I think we overestimate very often the capability of AI systems to replace humans, because there are lots of tasks that are very easy that we don't really know how to solve yet with AI technology. And so people might have seen this in DARPA robotics challenge. So not the one with the driving cars, but the ones where robots have to do sort of tasks like working with pipes and opening doors and these kinds of things. So that was, I think, last year. It turned out that just turning doorknob was tremendously difficult for many robots. And in fact, there's this famous video of a robot that tries to do this and falls backwards, right, and falls onto the ground. And I think that there is this rumor that one man in the audience, observed that, you're worried about Terminator robots, just keep your door closed. And that's a very, very simple task. So I think we are very, very far away from robots taking all of the interesting jobs in our society, if that ever happens.
Yeah, but even if they don't take all of them, what if they take half of them or most of them? Dr. Bill?
The optimist in me says that this is great because for the first time in 2,400 years, philosophers will have huge job opportunities. The number of displaced people are going to be sitting out there going, what is the meaning of life? And they're going to come to you and my job is secure, whereas even you tech guys up here, you guys are gone. These machines will take care of themselves. So if I'm looking optimistically in long term, we can talk about the Watson that diagnoses medical conditions in Japan, right? And has found cancers. And won't this be wonderful? We can get rid of drudgery, these jobs that people don't want to do, the farming jobs we don't need, the labor, building buildings, which now I see that there's machines that build buildings. They can lay cinder block 1,000 a day to build buildings. So you ask me what happens? Well, the optimist buys into the Star Trek views. I'm the Star Trek fan. The people who are morally deficient are the Star Wars fans. But the ones who are really morally good people really look at human beings as we're capable of so much more. We'll have to find ways to explore, find value in life, put the meaning back into life. Now that being said, and I understand this might be far down the road. We're talking about AI now. These aren't probably issues we're going to be facing in the next 20 years, say. Going down the line, the pessimist in me says, who's going to control the AI technology? So those doctors.
Amazon, of course, right?
Well, it's wonderful that the robot can diagnose my cancer condition, provided I have health care and have access to the hospital. It's wonderful that all these creative endeavors and these tech workers will be needed if I can afford to go to college, if I can actually afford to be trained to be a tech worker. And then the other question is, how many poets and musicians and that are we going to need? In other words, if you take away 50% of the jobs and automate them, who's going to buy the product? So the prices come down, and maybe we need a good economist on the panel. At a certain point, prices, goods become cheaply available. What am I going to pay them with? In other words, who's employing me? If you don't like my music, or you don't like my poetry, or you don't like my... So maybe a guaranteed minimum income. So now we get into real social distribution justice questions. Now this may, again, we're definitely talking long term here, down the road, maybe 50 years, but something my grandkids probably will have to deal with, because now they're going to ask who's going to buy.
So we got Dr. Fazali here. Listen, Dr. Vopat and Dr. Koenig, they have a more positive outlook on what the robots won't be able to take away their jobs, because we might be overestimating what robots are capable of doing. But the guys at Momentum, the company, the guys that are making that burger bot, man, that guy said, I want to get rid of McDonald's. I want to get rid of the people working at McDonald's, and I want all of the meals be made by automation, a robot type technology. So, from your perspective, are robots to the point, or will they be to the point anytime soon where they can take our service jobs away? Will they be able to be automated cashiers like at the grocery stores? Those are service jobs, right? Will they be able to take over the gas stations? And filling tires and that kind of thing. How close are we to robots and artificial intelligence taking our service jobs?
So that's a great question. First of all, I would be very happy to see a day that machines or robots taking all the jobs, because this means that we will all be paid and the machines do the job and we can go travel the world. So, but there should be some difference between replacing jobs and replacing tasks in the job. So, for example, if you are a lawyer and you have to summarize legal documents every day for your cases, but now you have an AI agent that can help you summarize these legal documents for you, now you are a very more productive lawyer. You need to spend less time and have more fun, but pay the same amount of money. So here, I'm seeing AI or robotics as adding more productivity to our work, and it's like a calling to us. It's not really going to replace all the jobs. But I agree that many routine jobs, come kind of less intelligent jobs. It's a huge potential to be replaced by AI and robotics. Factory workers, probably the first ones. Uber, developing the autonomous taxis. This means that all the taxi drivers will be out of job. And I heard that in Pittsburgh now, you can order, just call it autonomous cab, and it comes to pick you up. So if we are there, we are very close to autonomous cars now, and you are going to see more of these autonomous cars in the next few years. There's definitely, some concerns about losing jobs. But on the other hand, I feel that, the progress in AI may create some new jobs that we are not really aware of it now. It's a future thing. It's easy to imagine which jobs will be lost because of AI robotics. But on the other hand, some new jobs will be created that we may not really know
what they are.
I'm sure McDonald's employs a lot of people, and those people value those jobs, but a lot of them don't seem real happy there to begin with. And there's help wanted signs of just about everyone. So I don't know the ill effect in all that.
So you're
but-
saying everybody happy? That's what you get now.
None that I've met. But the Uber is an interesting example. And I saw research, and I don't have it in front of me, so I can't quote it, but don't quote me on it. But I think the summary was that the taxi drivers in San Francisco particularly were extremely worried about Uber. And when they ended up looking back, they found that the taxi cab revenues had hardly dropped. And the market was able to absorb all the Uber revenue. So in other words, the whole pie of public transportation grew. The people that used to take a